Well, good evening. Wonderful. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Don't Go with the Flow with yourself, Sylbourne Citydale. And I hope you are having a fantastic evening, and it's a beautiful day. Okay, there was a little rain or so, but so what? It is a little rain which is falling. I think it is good when we got the blessings, blow away all the COVID and all those things away, and create another blessed day. Well, I'm happy to be here tonight. This is the start of my week. Normally, we kick off on a Wednesday, then we go straight onto a Thursday, then we go on to a Friday, then we go on to a Saturday, and but so much as you realize, and you must be anyone maybe living on a rock if they can't see or recognize what has been happening these last days in the UK, not just in the UK but also in Jamaica, also in the uttermost parts of the world. But one place where like nothing is seemed to happening in regards to COVID is the United States of America because they all focus on elections. So one don't know if the same impact there is happening. So I just want to thank you so much for coming, and for those who are coming on, I'd appreciate it greatly if you like, share, and also if you can comment as well. The YouTube channel, I'm specifically pushing the YouTube channel as much as possible, and I tell you why I'm pushing the YouTube channel because I'm getting somewhat. I guess many people are getting wary a bit of Facebook to the point whereby Facebook fact check you every single thing. Um, Facebook is becoming, I don't know, it's becoming not very keen. The other day, I had a very interesting one whereby I was independently fact checked, independently fact checked by Facebook. An article which they posted. I'm going to do a small video specifically on that. And in the simple post, it was saying something like Minneapolis, based on the funding of police, crime is increasing. And it was by the New York Post. So I just simply, this is what I did. I just simply posted. And I just simply said, oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh my days, I can't believe it. And lo and behold, I got a fact check, independent fact check. I said I was misleading the people to the point to say that I actually um, need to say that crime has not increased, and also that they have not defunded the police. So I wrote back to Facebook to the person and said, "Listen, actually, you fact checked the wrong person. You need to fact check the New York Post." Then I started to ask this question to myself, and I'm sure anyone will want to ask this question. So, who actually fact checked the fact checkers? That movie that came on some time ago with Will Smith, it says, who monitor the monitors? If you remember that, who monitor the monitors? And we're living a very interesting time now, total interesting time, whereby so many things are happening. COVID there, Brexit there, everywhere. And but guess what? We still have to live. We still have to move on, and we still have to progress. Tonight, I should have I should have had, and I'm gonna put up this thing here. There we go. Bingo. I should have had a guest, and there it is. I should have had Mr. James Singleton tonight. Maybe he's watching. If anything, James Singleton should have been here tonight, but he had some issues where the gremlins have somewhat attacked his PC, and as a result of that, he couldn't make it. Now, if you can see the picture there, let me show you the picture. If you can see that picture there, what you can see is in the mask. And Boris Johnson said, "Oh my days," or "What's going on?" If anything like that. So that is what should have been happening tonight. But nevertheless, still, I believe that the show must go on. And tomorrow night we'll have a team where we go through and dissect. But what I wanted to do today, and because of the fact that I tend not to come on officially on the other nights, I said when Boris made the announcement and the whole development with COVID, I said, let me talk about COVID, but not from the perspective of a medical practitioner or someone who has inside knowledge. Tomorrow night, Dr. David Burton, uh, who is a medical practitioner, will come on the show at 9 o'clock with Keisha and Kema. And of course, Keisha is going to remind the whole world that what is happening now, she already predicted it to a certain extent. But what I wanted to do tonight, I want to sort of play that video that Boris, um, the statement which he made last night. Play that video and sort of to sort of go through it in a sort of way tonight. Because what we've seen now is that there's been some great development in regards to COVID and these different new rules. Also in Jamaica, I may touch on that briefly. But let me just uh, 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 see if I can play this for a moment. Here we go. One, two, three. Here we go. Grab it.
Good evening. The struggle against COVID is the single biggest crisis the world has faced in my lifetime. In less than a year, this disease has killed almost 1 million people and caused havoc to economies everywhere. Here in the UK, we mourn every person we have lost and we grieve with their families. And yet I'm more certain than ever that this is a struggle that humanity will win, and we in this country will win. And to achieve what we must, I want to talk to you directly tonight about the choices that we face, none of them easy, and why we must take action now. I know that we can succeed because we have succeeded before. When the sickness took hold in this country in March, we pulled together in a spirit of national sacrifice and community. We followed the guidance to the letter. We stayed at home, protected the NHS, and saved thousands of lives. And for months, with those disciplines of social distancing, we've kept that virus at bay. But we have to acknowledge that this is a great and freedom-loving country, and while the vast majority have complied with the rules, there have been too many breaches, too many opportunities for our invisible enemy to slip through undetected. The virus has started to spread again in an exponential way. Infections are up, hospital admissions are climbing. We can see what's happening in France and Spain. And we know, alas, that this virus is no less fatal than it was in the spring, and that the vast majority of our people are no less susceptible. And the iron laws of geometrical progression are shouting at us from the graphs that we risk many more deaths, many more families losing loved ones before their time. And I know that faced with that risk, the British people will want their government to continue to fight to protect them, you. And that's what we're doing night and day. And yet the single greatest weapon we bring to this fight is the common sense of the people themselves, the joint resolve of this country.
I stopped it for a second. In regards to the speech by Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, and I just paused it for a moment. And while I pause it for a moment, just look at a couple of the new developments which has happened since. There have been these new rules in the coronavirus restrictions which have recently been announced by the Prime Minister, and ways to see how we can somehow go through this process again. Now, many people right now, I believe, is actually in between and wondering what is happening, what's going to happen. The furlough, they believe, is not going to continue. I know I called someone, I think it was yesterday, to talk about a particular thing which I needed. And when I contact the company, they said the person's on furlough. And so, lots of people are still on furlough. So therefore, Lots of people are going to be affected when they're talking about the furlough is going to end, and may do some sort of lump sum thing. But if I look at a couple of the rules which have been set out there, and the series of new restrictions which the Prime Minister set out. One, Boris Johnson said the new measures will probably stay in place for the next 6 months. People are saying Christmas is done. But I say to you that Christmas is not done. I say to you that 2020 is the year for you. Many people say this is not my year. I remember at the start of the year, people were saying, this is my year. This is the year when I'm going to do things. I'm going to get things done. Well, listen, there's still opportunity and there's still time to get everything done during the year of 2020. Don't put it off to 2021. Pubs, bars, and restaurants to close at 10 o'clock British Standard Time. Right? 10 o'clock. Someone from Jamaica sent me this message last night and said, your bars and restaurants will close at 10 o'clock. And I laugh and say, haha, that's why I'm home. you know? And so therefore, the bars, restaurants, and all of that will be closed. And they'll also be restricted to table service only. I think they say takeaway can still go on. People should work from home wherever possible. Face masks, compulsory for bar staff and non-seated customers, workers, and waiters. Now, people should work from home whenever possible. Someone sent me this spin thing, like a little gambling thing, where it said, don't listen to the government anymore. This is what you can do. You spin it, and it said, work from home, don't work from home, and all those sort of things. And it is an interesting time. Limit on guests at wedding reduced from 30 to 15, so that's going back down. Plans to allow fans to return to sporting events, pause. Rule of six now applies to indoor team sports. Fines for not wearing masks or following rules increase to 200 for first offense. Now, that is just the base, really. Now, I'd like to, if possible, as much as possible, to open the discussion and for persons to actually share their thoughts in regard to Royalty Miller. Good afternoon. In regards to this, what's your thoughts about this whole COVID thing? What's your thoughts about wherever you are in the world, whether it's Jamaica, whether it's USA, whether it's Canada? What do you think about the lockdown? Do you think it's leading towards a lockdown? Do you believe that there should be another lockdown? Do you believe also that at the end of the day, we're going to be living with this thing? I call it this terrorist, this geezer, this bad man or so. What do you want? People are feeling like that they're trapped. It's like the whole world is at a standstill. What do you say about that? Let's listen to the Prime Minister.
To work together to suppress COVID now.
Let's go back.
Grieve with their families. And yet I'm more certain than ever that this is a struggle that humanity will win, and we in this country will win. And to achieve what we must, I want to talk to you directly tonight about the choices that we face, none of them easy, and why we must take action now. I know that we can succeed because we have succeeded before. When the sickness took hold in this country in March, we pulled together in a spirit of national sacrifice and good evening. The struggle against COVID is the single biggest crisis the world has faced in my lifetime. In less than a year, this disease has killed almost 1 million people and caused havoc to economies everywhere. Here in the UK, We mourn every person we have lost and we grieve with their families. And yet I'm more certain than ever that this is a struggle that humanity will win, and we in this country will win. And to achieve what we must, I want to talk to you directly tonight about the choices that we face, none of them easy, and why we must take action now. I know that we can succeed because we have succeeded before. When the sickness took hold in this country in March, we pulled together in a spirit of national sacrifice and community. We followed the guidance to the letter. We stayed at home, protected the NHS, and saved thousands of lives. And for months, with those disciplines of social distancing, we've kept that virus at bay. But we have to acknowledge that this is a great and freedom-loving country, and while the vast majority have complied with the rules, there have been too many breaches, too many opportunities for invisible enemy to slip through undetected. The virus has started to spread again in an exponential way. Infections are up. Hospital admissions are climbing. We can see what's happening in France and Spain. And we know, alas, that this virus is no less fatal than it was in the spring, and that the vast majority of our people are no less susceptible and the iron laws of geometrical progression are shouting at us from the graphs that we risk many more deaths, many more families losing loved ones before their time. And I know that faced with that risk, the British people will want their government to continue to fight to protect them, you. And that's what we're doing night and day. And yet the single greatest weapon we bring to this fight greatest weapon we bring to this fight is the common sense of the people themselves, the joint resolve of this country to work together to suppress COVID now. So today I said I'd package of tougher measures in England. Early closing for pubs, bars, table service only, closing businesses that are not COVID secure, expanding the use of face coverings, new fines for those that fail to comply, once again asking office workers to work from home if they can, while enforcing the rule of 6 indoors and outdoors. A tougher package of national measures, combined with the potential for tougher local restrictions for areas already in lockdown. I know that this approach, robust but proportionate, already carries the support of all the main parties in Parliament. After discussion with colleagues in the devolved administrations, I believe this broad approach is shared across the whole UK. And to those who say we don't need this stuff and we should leave people to take their own risks, I say these risks are not our own. The tragic reality of having COVID is that your mild cough can be someone else's death knell. And as for the suggestion that we should simply lock up the elderly and the vulnerable, with all the suffering that would entail, I must tell you that this is just not realistic. Because if you let the virus rip through the rest of the population, it would inevitably find its way through to the elderly as well, and in much greater numbers. That's why we need to suppress the virus now. And as for that minority who may continue to flout the rules, we will enforce those rules with tougher penalties and fines of up to £10,000. We will put more police out on the street. And use the army to backfill if necessary. And of course, I'm deeply spiritually reluctant to make any of these impositions or infringe anyone's freedom. But unless we take action, the risk is that we will have to go for tougher measures later when the deaths have already mounted and we have a huge caseload of infection such as we had in the spring. If we let this virus get out of control now, it would mean that our NHS had no space, once again, to deal with cancer patients and millions of other non-COVID medical needs. And if we were forced into a new national lockdown, that would threaten not just jobs and livelihoods, but the loving human contact on which we all depend. It would mean renewed loneliness and confinement for the elderly and vulnerable, and ultimately it would threaten once again the education of our children. We must do all we can to avoid going down that road again. But if people don't follow the rules we've set out, then we must reserve the right to go further. We must take action now, because a stitch in time saves 9. And this way, we can keep people in work, we can keep our shops and our schools open, and we can keep our country moving forward while we work together to suppress the virus. That is our strategy. And if we can follow this package together, then I know we can succeed, because in so many ways, we're better prepared than before. We had the PPE, we have the beds, we have the Nightingales, we have new medicines pioneered in this country that can help save lives. And though our doctors and our medical advisors are rightly worried about the data now and the risks over winter, they are unanimous that things will be far better by the spring, when we have not only the hope of a vaccine, but one day soon, and I must stress that we're not there yet, of mass testing so efficient that people will be able to be tested in minutes so they can do more of the things they love. That's the hope. That's the dream. It's hard, but it's attainable, and we're working as hard as we can to get there. But until we do, we must rely on our willingness to look out for each other, to protect
new rules which the government has set up, and these new rules in regards to COVID, and it's very exhaustive and very long as possible. The the key ones which I touched on recently and just talk about, which I just regurgitate, what are there, even though the restrictions are in London, but it's all over. It talks about the rules for pubs and restaurants from Thursday the 24th of September. All pubs, bars, cafes, and restaurants in England are to shut no later than 10 o'clock British Standard Time. As someone contacted me recently and they said, Sylbourne, I hear you guys in the UK, no more pubs, no more restaurants. I said, that's why I'm home. I mean, I don't go to restaurants that much. Um, Restricted, work from home or the office. What they're saying now, back again to the position. They were actually saying, go to work from home, don't go to work. I said, if you're not in a COVID secure workplace, then you should be there if your job required is. And however, what you should do is work at home if you can. For myself personally, I've been working from home ever since March 24th. Going to court the same way hasn't changed. What about you? Have you been working from home? Does it make a big difference to you? What is it like with working from home? Many people are saying that people are skiving from home when they're working from home. People are not actually being very creative. I think it's on the contrary. I think you have to be more creative, because if not, you just work so hard, and I believe that your bosses will get so much out of you. Well, it all depends on what you actually do. You've got to be creative to make sure that you spend time in going outside and actually, getting fit, doing a walk around the park, and you can be very creative. I believe at the same time, when being at home a lot, you can start to develop on some innovative and some creative ideas as well. I think that's powerful. Rules for wedding and sports, that has been dashed again. Funerals will be able to take place with up to 30 people attending. Only 15 people able to attend weddings, and I think that dropped from 30 of recent days. Restriction in Scotland, um, ban on meetings, different in Wales, alcohol off license, Northern Ireland, various things. And in a nutshell, what it is: pubs, bars, restaurants close at 10 o'clock, restricted to table service only. People should work from home wherever possible. Face mask compulsory for bar staff and non-seated customers. Limit on guests at weddings reduced from 30 to 15. Plan to allow fans to return to sporting events. Pause. Rule of six now applies, and to indoor team sport. Fines for not wearing masks is going to be from £200 for first offence. Um, um, in City, what do you say here? In Instagram, I'm in an essential worker in the States. Have to be in the office. Wow. And what is it like? there? Are they good rules that they are adhering to? Um, I understand that myself is deemed as a key worker because I work with children in the sense of care proceedings as well, but still not seen them. Um, so it is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Nevertheless, still, even in Jamaica, what is happening in Jamaica is of a similar nature. It is getting a bit higher in Jamaica. It's really to a point now whereby they can't trace it anymore as they used to do before. So that is getting out of hand. And the deaths are increasing. I believe a few key persons passed away recently. You got Toots Hibbert, the singer. You've got um, Dr. DK Duncan, who passed away recently. Uh, I, I I don't know if Bobby Pickett's-Gill, a veteran politician who I believe is not well in the hospital, if it is COVID or not, we don't know. But you know, people are being taken out, and we've got to be very serious about this as much as possible. Well, we'll touch on this tomorrow night when when the team comes on, and we do the in review with my various guests with the team. As you can see here, the team will be um, there. They are myself with David, Kima, and Keisha tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Do check that out tomorrow night with the team there as we delve into a bit more with Dr. David Burton and as we dissect more of it. There are other topics out there as well. We're not going to let COVID only be the main topic, because there are other things which are out there. And also, just to let you know, on Saturday, I have a very interesting guest. I've got Mr. Jermaine Dyer, for those who are in the fashion world, founder of Sway Caribbean Model Agency. This guy teaches people how to walk and all those things, ladies. Um, so therefore, life still goes on. Got to talk about other things. Got to talk about life. And on Friday again, Youth Connection, getting a young person to come on, talk about things. We got to got to get it going. Got to get it going. Can't stop. Can't stop just because of COVID. We got to keep going. Um, so that's the whole thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stay safe um, as much as possible, and keep well. And we come back tomorrow night um, on the later. Remember to like and subscribe to the show. I believe there was a glitch at some point where I wasn't seen, but fortunately, Boris Johnson took the stage there at the point. And yes, so all the best. Thank you very much. Peace. Peace out. Bye bye. And that is for